have an extremely controversial Metallica album ranking, so be prepared to say mean things to me in the comment section. We've got 11 albums, and if we included Garage Inc. and some other compilations or live albums, those would be at the top of my list. I think Garage Inc. would be at my all-time favorite if it counted, but it doesn't. So, worst to best Metallica albums, let's go! Number 11, the worst is coming first, and for me, Death Magnetic is the worst sounding Metallica album. I just don't like a lot of what we got here. I'm a music nerd that rarely talks about production, but Death Magnetic sounds like it was produced by a dead magnet. Rick Rubin, what happened? Before we talk about that anymore, I want to talk about kind of the concept of my channel. I'm trying to rank all these bands, and Metallica are my 75th favorite band. That's actually pretty high. It sounds low, but it's high. But Death Magnetic, produced by Rick Rubin. Do you think the entire band should take that snare thing Lars did on the last album and just have the entire band match that sound? Because the volume is all over the place on Death Magnetic, and while Unforgiven 3 and Judas Kiss are righteous tunes, the rest of Death Magnetic, it's just B-side level buckets of nothingness to my ears, to my soul. It's not a 0 out of 5, but it's kind of, if I were ranking, or if I was scoring this, I'm ranking this. If I were scoring Death Magnetic, I'd give it a 1 out of 5. It's not a great album in my opinion. Like I said, there's like 2 okay songs on it, and that's it. Number 10 Metallica album, Kill 'Em All from 1983. And 2 albums in, and I know we're already sounding way, way, way better than Death Magnetic. Thank goodness. Kill 'Em All has the 4 horsemen, seek and destroy, and a heaping dose of what people want from Lars and his nameless friends. Why so low for Kill 'Em All? Well, I got into Metallica when I was getting into popular music on the radio back in 1996, and Kill 'Em All, it just wasn't part of my childhood or musical journey back then. I think I got a copy of it with Drowning Pool Center in high school, hanging out with my heavy metaler friends, but it just wasn't part of me growing up. So don't blame me. Don't blame me for my extremely whack metal Metallica ranking. Just don't blame me. Blame someone else. Blame time, because I jumped on the Metallica train at first on the load and reload era. So that's really not a good transition, because we're moving right along to the 9th best Metallica album, and that's Hardwired to Self-Destruct from 2016. Number 9, Hardwired Self-Destruct. Look, a newer Metallica album near the bottom. So I am redeemed in your eyes and ears, hopefully. I really enjoyed Hardwired Self-Destruct when it dropped in 2016. I'd beaten cancer the year before, the year prior to this album, and this one felt kind of like part of my victory lap for both me and Metallica. Back in 2016, I really enjoyed the title track, Atlas Rise, Now That We're Dead, Moth and Flames, Halo on Fire, and Spit Out the Bone. But in 2025, I'm not revisiting any of these, except for maybe Spit Out the Bone on a very rare occasion, like ranking these albums. Number 8, Load. Load is an album with a ton of decent songs, but nothing spectacular. I casually like Ain't My Bitch, King Nothing, Hero of the Day, Mama Said, and Until It Sleeps is certainly the closest thing to greatness here. There is some boneheadedness though, like 2x4. Seriously, that is one of the worst song titles in all of history. And that history includes Fall Out Boy. Come on, Metallica. You could have called the song Stealing Thunder or something groovy like that or whatever. But there is experimentation that doesn't always fall flat. But there's some big missteps in the experimentation on Load as well. I will at least give the critics of this album that. But the experimentation is how you learn. Try a little of this, a little of that one day, and then one day you're like listening to Green Day's Father of All while hiking to waterfalls and reading audiobooks about aliens. Yeah! Number 7, the 7th best Metallica album from 1986, Master of Puppets. Yeah, Master of Puppets is very good, and it's at the 7th spot. It's not too bad. It's a solid album with a bunch of good songs in the title track. If I were born a little bit earlier than 1985, Master of Puppets, the song, would have probably been the track that got me into Metallica instead of the incredibly stupid top 6 albums you're about to watch me talk about. I'm telling you. I don't usually listen to Leper Messiah or Orion, but those are about the only skips on this album. Please forgive me. Number 6. Now we're into the really, really good Metallica albums that I love and you guys maybe love too. My 6th favorite Metallica album is Reload from 1997. It's got 3 really good songs, and it's got one of their best songs ever on it. Let's see what we got. We got The Fuel, The Memory Remains, Better Than You, The Unforgiven 2. I even throw on Where the Wild Things Are sometimes while reading the book, Where Are the Wild Things? Attitude and Fixer are great tail ends of the album songs. Well, maybe they could have stopped at Attitude, but I really like the sound and power behind the whole album, Reload. Also, the Cow Blood and Pee are the next logical progression from this progressive band. What was that last one? What was the last album art? Ugh. Come on! Did you get it? Number 5, best Metallica album, And Justice for All from 1988. And Justice for All is the first album we've covered in this video that I like to put on and play the entire thing front to back. It's not a 5 out of 5 album by any means, according to my brain and ears, but there aren't any stinky duds in the mix either. Everything's pretty good, and while I do not hear bass on the album, who cares? Bass are fish, so who cares? It's all about the snare drums, guys. I was at one point obsessed with the song One, even though now it's a little bit too emotional for me. Getting close to turning 40 is insane. Blackened, the title track, I won't name off all 9 songs. They're just all solid. Everything on Justice for All is just really, really good. They're all solid. Lots to enjoy, lots of rage, lots of bass fishing, a lot to bitch about. That ain't my bitch. But I really, really like Injustice for All. And I think we can agree on that, right? Even if you disagree with my entire ranking, I think you can agree Injustice for All is pretty good. Number 4, and this one, I'm just looking at my list. I know this one moved way, way, way all over the place. And that is 72 Seasons from 2023. I think I originally had it ranked a lot better, and then it kind of fell a little bit to 4th place. It's a breath of fresh air and the best Metallica album in 20 years. Wink, wink. Screaming S Aside, If Darkness Had a Sun are among my favorite songs of all time. So favorite Metallica songs, period. And that's such an incredible feat considering their monstrous and metallic catalog. And other songs that are really good, Lux Eterna, Too Far Gone, are runners-up. Runners-up for favorite track, and while I skip Crown of Barbed Wire, that's my least favorite, 72 Seasons is a hell of a good time to be had with Metallica in modern-day South Carolina, or North Carolina, or Iowa. Please get permission to listen to this album in other parts of the world. We're now in the top three Metallica albums. I apologize in advance. Oh man. My third. They're gonna think I'm joking. I just have a weird taste. I just have a weird taste. My third favorite Metallica album is Metallica, the self-titled, untitled, called Metallica album. It's got, wow. Metallica didn't want to sell out, and they didn't need to. Let dudes get haircuts. Let them go this far with the haircuts. Okay, I've got a lot to say about hair politics. I mean, look at me. I am qualified. You can be metal AF with a bald head and phantom hair is a real thing. And an awesome title for a Metallica song. Phantom Hair coming in 2029, baby. Yeah! Anyway, self-titled Metallica has all the big songs here, and while metalheads today love to complain about this album, Metallica developed a diversity that any life form needs to continue to thrive. Rock bands, especially the big ones, get it the worst. If Metallica had put out 11 Kill 'Em Alls, one, they'd be poor and unknown, and two, how boring would that be if we had 11 Kill 'Em Alls? Whiplash Part XI. Bar! I am hopeful for an Unforgiven 4, though, and 5 and 6. I would really like that. They told me not to hold my breath for Hank Williams 4, and gosh, poop it. There's at least 2 or 3 of those dudes rocking the tour circuit. Yeehaw! My number 2 and 1 Metallica albums coming after I regain consciousness. The second best, and this one really, just like 72 Seasons, Ride the Lightning is number 2. And it fluctuated. It was kind of down at one of my least favorites, and then I listened to it the other day, and holy moly, it is one of the most consistent Metallica albums. It has 8 songs that all sound spectacular. The opener, Fight Fire with Fire, Fireman, has that clean opening that probably ruffled a few metalheads. Even back this far, it ruffled the metalheads without any of the members of Metallica having to visit a barber shop when this album dropped. For Whom the Bell Tolls is one of their best songs on the heavier side of things, and Fade to Black is one of their best softer songs. One of the better of their mainstream sounding songs. For an 80s Metallica album, for a sophomore Metallica album, Metallica evolved, changed their sound, and put out a record that's 100 trillion times more engaging than the debut. And that debut was pretty freaking amazing, right? The album, Ride the Lightning, ends on 2 favorites of mine, as well as Creeping Death and Call of the Cthulhu. Ride the Lightning is one of those classic albums that doesn't feel like a classic. It feels fresh and shiny as the day it was born. And it was released a year before I was born. My number 1 favorite Metallica album. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. I just told you that I was born in 1985, and in 2003, I was just a few years into my musical journey, right? I was discovering all this new stuff on the radio. I was buying every alternative punk and metal release that existed, and Metallica were coming back after a 5-year gap following Reload. They probably needed the time off after Reload. And I just recently discovered, I listened to all their big hits and was eager for a new album that I could jump on board the Metallica fandom with. And Saint Anger is my number 1 Metallica album. I like the title track. I went out and bought the whole thing pretty close or on release day. And every song is unique. The singles are great. The deep cuts are even better. Invisible Kid, I feel like, is my favorite. It's the highlight. While Shoot Me Again is pure unhinged James Hetfield. Yeah, there's a little bit of that I am the table flavor of Metallica, and I applaud them for going into that territory on their own records. It's pretty brave. Sweet Amber crafts mental imagery that makes me feel like I'm an insect from 85 million BC, frozen in an ember little thing, an oblong thing in time forever. Oh man, it's a trip. The Unnamed Feeling and All Within My Hands show that this album doesn't get worse as it goes on, but in fact gets better. And Purify, I guess, is my least listened song on Saint Anger because it sounds fresh to me sitting here listening in 2025. AD, Cracker Brothers. After you finish yelling at me in the comments, go ahead. Just get it out. Get it all. Get your anger. You need your anger to be good for you, and you need your anger to be healthy. When you're finished yelling at me in the comments and subscribing, buy this nifty t-shirt. Look, I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it, so that means I'm not selling out. Go give Saint Anger another listen, or at least try out one song. I know you guys just really hate it, so just put on My World. Just crank My World up to 11 and start with that one and tell me if it sounds as poopy garbage to you as it did 22 years ago. Thank you. If you've made it this far, thank you.
Saint Anger is the greatest album of all time. Free speech for the dumb, don't know. Saint Anger, will blow my head. Saint Anger, Saint Anger.